All right, it is time now for our interview segment, and my guest is already here in studio. I am joined by Erick Oyugi, who is the CEO of Malipo Circle, and we are going to be talking around the topic of micro-lending. Good afternoon, Mr. Oyugi, and thank you for making time for us.
Thank you very much, Nissy, for having me.
Asante sana.
Asante.
So just, you know, most of these apps are on the phone, and most people using an app would be using a smartphone. So how different is your app? Does it allow for people who don't have a smartphone to be able to access it?
Thank you very much, Nissy, once again. I think the issue of financial inclusion as people move to digital ways of managing money is something that we are trying to address as Malipo. And one of the key things is we enable you to manage your chama, because what we are trying to say is look, you have found a very ingenious way of how to pull resources together as a group and then how to use those resources to help you people exit poverty, okay? But we notice that the way you are doing it, which is cash-based, which is expensive and exposes you to the risk of managing cash and everything that comes with it. Moving digitally is very cheap. We already have M-Pesa, which is built right into your phone. So Malipo enables you to then make those contributions using your normal M-Pesa phone without having to have a smartphone. So that's how we try to bridge the digital financial gap in that.
Okay. Yeah. I like that you bring the risks part. Yeah. What would be the main challenges of digital transformation in Kenya?
If I leave out the obvious risks of how do you manage fraud in a digital environment, which is a new challenge that is coming up and everybody has to deal with, I think the biggest challenge, especially in the space that we play in, which is in chamas, is how do you entrust one person to manage your money, okay? Commonly known as the treasurer, who is the custodian of all the funds of the chamas. So how do you manage that risk? How do you decouple that risk from the chama itself? And what Malipo does so well is that it provides transparency in how that management then comes in. So it is no longer just the treasurer's work to manage the contributions, to give out loans, to manage how the money moves to the bank and to give you reports. The system, Malipo now automates that end to end, from how you guys do your contribution, not to an individual but to a platform, to how you people are able to see all the records of the contributions that are done by members, to how you guys are able to manage your loan portfolio if at all members borrow from the same pool, and who approves the money. And you can even go as far as saying there are different levels of authorization that have to be done before our money leaves the chama. Okay. So that's how we try to address what we think is the biggest risk that chamas go through, which is treasurers disappearing with their cash.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're not lending money, you're just providing an app where people can be able to pool their money together. What other things do you offer? Why Malipo?
So we say we are trying to create the biggest network of connected chamas in Kenya. And why is that key for us? One is chamas want to know how do we learn from each other, because every chama has these dynamics. There are those which have succeeded, there are those who have failed. How do you learn from each other? How do you trade with each other as a chama? And then how do you connect with each other? So that's some of the key things that we are trying to do that makes Malipo very appealing for a chama. And as we do all this, the key thing for us is we want to reduce the amount of burden that a chama has on their finances as much as possible. So we bring in a lot of partners that work with us, and we call those Malipo Experience Partners. So that comes from insurance to reducing the burden that you have on your savings. When one chama member has a problem, how do you support that person? So we bring in insurance, from last expense insurance, medical insurance. So any partner that enables us to make your money do more for you as a chama, that's how we come in, and that's why we find Malipo to be such a powerful solution for chamas. Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk policies and regulation.
Yes.
Are they adequate in this sector to help you grow?
I think like any other financial application that exists, policies and regulations are important. Yes, they increase the cost of doing business, especially if you're a startup and you're trying to build a solution. It also means navigating that environment just becomes a bit more complicated. So, of course, around policies, we wish they were easier and faster to adopt and work with. But we must say there's a lot of progress that has also been made to enable financial applications to thrive in the market. Yes.
Okay. And from where you sit, do you feel that consumers understand some of these emerging technologies, as, for example, yours?
We are seeing a lot of traction around it, which means people appreciate the fact that governance is important in how they manage their money in groups. Okay? And like any technology, new or even present, a lot of user education then becomes very important, okay? Because users always have the problems around, is our money safe? If we transact this, is our data safe? Will our data be shared? If we do this transaction, are we sure to get exactly what we've been promised? So to cap this, for us, the key is user education, constant user education. The second is we try to build our technologies for trust. We say we build for trust. How do you build a solution that makes people trust it from the very first day that they use it? So those are the two principles that we use a lot in trying to build our solutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So user education is one of those things you've mentioned, but what would be some of your other challenges in digital transformation in this country?
One of the key challenges we have is, of course, the cost of acquiring customers, which is quite high, whichever channel you use to try to get users to adopt your platform. We find that as a big challenge. Of course, the next one is also the cost of trying to stick with the regulations that are there to support the kind of solutions that you give. Those are the two key things that we see to be the biggest problems and the biggest challenges that we are facing currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all the time we had, but thank you so much for coming on. That was Erick Oyugi, who is the CEO of Malipo Circles, that you are having a conversation around micro lending.